In today's video, I'm going to show you how to capture crystal clear camera movements without a Ronin, without a glide cam, simply with your hands. So let's get right into it. Hey, what's up? It's Chris from Brooker Films, and in today's video, I'm talking all about shooting really smooth cinematic camera movements without the use of a glide cam or a steady cam. Smooth camera movement is often seen to be more professional and more cinematic, so this is often a desired look. However, it's also super important to note that smooth footage should not be required for every single project. If you're shooting a fight scene, for example, then you're not going to want beautiful, buttery smooth camera movements. You're going to want to get in there, be handheld, and be really rough and tough with the camera because you want the camera to be a part of the scene. But if your project does require really smooth camera movements and you don't have access to a glide cam or a Ronin, then that's completely fine because you can use basic handheld camera moves to capture a really awesome cinematic smooth shot. So my first tip when it comes to capturing smooth handheld shots is to not go one-handed. If you're shooting a video with one hand, the weight of the camera is going to make your hand shake, the footage is going to be wobbly, it's going to look amateur, it's going to look ugly. So always make sure to put two hands on the camera. Tip number 2 is to bring the camera closer to your body. If you have your camera all the way out here, your arms are going to fatigue, you're going to start shaking, and the camera is going to start shaking. So bring your camera closer in towards your core. Now the third technique is to try and introduce a third point of contact onto your camera. So you've got one hand, you've got two hands, and you want to add a third point. So if you could get an extra monitor, then try putting the monitor up here and putting the camera on your chin. You could also get a shoulder mount for your camera and have two handles so it's on your shoulder and it's on your two hands. Or alternatively, you could push the camera up against your chest and have a monitor out here so you can see what you're capturing. Tip number 4 is to do camera movements with your entire body rather than just your arms. If you've got the camera up here and you're doing everything just with your hands only, then you're not going to be as stable as you could potentially be. Now, once you've added that third point of contact, so you've got your two hands, you've got your chin, for example, you want to rotate your whole body to get panning and tilting movements. So very subtle, very slow. You just want to very gently move the camera. Now, one more thing to mention, when you have your camera pressed against your body, you want to try and avoid huge breaths. Now, obviously we all have to breathe, but if you have your camera against your chest and you're breathing like crazy, your footage is going to look really weird. So a tip that I like to do is to hold my breath when I'm shooting the shot. So I'll breathe in, cut, exhale. Although it's subtle, that very subtle movement from your body when you're breathing in and out will be translated into the camera, and we want to avoid that. So try holding your breath when you're capturing your shots. Now, the second to last tip is to try not to move around too much. If you need to go forward, don't walk forward, lean forward. So place your camera into its position and you want to slowly lean forward, get the shot, and then cut. This is far more efficient and it looks better than taking physical steps because the vibration from those steps will be translated back into the camera movements. So try leaning or very gently swaying with your body to get that camera movement. And now the last tip is to try shooting in a higher frame rate. If you shoot in slow motion, for example, then that camera movement is going to be less obvious because the footage is going to be slowed down. So if you have a little bit of camera swaying in normal time, in slow motion, that's going to be barely noticeable. But of course, this does depend on your project. If you're shooting something that has to be in real time, then obviously you can't use this tip. But if you can shoot in slow motion, then do consider it because it does look really awesome and it does reduce that camera shake. And there you go. Once you've captured your footage using all of these techniques, the last thing to do is to drop this into Adobe Premiere Pro and drop the warp stabilizer effect on top of your footage to really smooth out that footage. And I promise you, once you've applied warp stabilizer and followed all of these steps, you're going to look at that beautiful smooth footage and wonder why you even considered using a gimbal in the first place. And there you go. If you think I've missed anything from the list, then don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section below and help out all of the other filmmakers on this platform. And also, don't forget to subscribe, check out the previous video, and I'll see you tomorrow for another brand new video. See you there.